dear friends, we are discussing about the contributions of Herbert Simon to the study of decision making. In the part 1 of our discussion, we identified the various areas of the decision making, including different activities like intelligence activity, design activity, choice activity. Whenever we are coming to a choice, it is going to be decided by the different type of circumstances. At that type of circumstances, what decisions you are taking is the rationality. Decision making is not only at a higher level, it is going to be at the lower levels also. However, as you take about the army, the overall strategy formulated by the generals, but the who are not engaged in the actual battle would determine the outcome of the battle. So, decision making involves at the various places and various things. Even it happens in a smaller organizations where the people are only 20 people are working in every place. According to the Simon, the choice of the decision is depend upon the behavior of not exactly the personality, behavior of the situation. All human behaviors involves conscious or unconscious selection of a particular action out of those alternatives or actions which are physically possible and organizationally effective. See, this is where the whole discussion on human behavior, conscious or unconscious selection of a particular action. So, the selection of a choice and the action are directly related to the case, for example, with the typist where it is established between the letter and printed page and the particular key. Whatever the key the typist is typing, the same letter is going to be appear on the paper. The same thing is choice is going to determine the action. So, whatever choice you have taken, the same type of action is going to become. Here the action is rational, but no element of consciousness is involved. In other case, the selection will have to be product of complex chain of activities called planning of a design activities. So, these choices, whenever the Herbert Simon is talking, that is going to be happen on a different type of a rationalities. What are they exactly? The rationality is not one, it is going to be determined by the situations. He says the value and fact in decision making. What is the value and what is the fact? The behavior of members of an organization is partly determined by the purpose of organization. The behavior will have to be a purposive. It is the purposiveness which brings about the integration part of the behavior. Absence of a purpose renders an organization is a meaningless. The administration consists of getting things done by the group of people. The purpose provides the frame of reference that determines what things are to be done and what things should not be done. In the process of even a minute of a decision governing specific action is necessary an application of a broader decisions relating to the purpose and the method. So, Simon refers that various aspects that, for example, he says a walker contracts his leg muscles in order to make a step. He takes a step in order to proceed toward his destination. He is going to the destination, a mailbox, in order to mail a letter. He is sending a letter in order to transmit certain information into another person and so forth. Each decision involves in a selection of a goal and a behavior relevant to it. This goal may in turn into mediate to a somewhat more distant goal and so on until a relatively final aim is reached. Simple that a person is going to post a letter in a post box and ultimately the letter is going to a particular person sending a particular information and a person has received that information till that your activity and action is going on. This behavioral approach maintains that so far as the decisions lead toward the selection of final goals, they will be called as a value judgments. So far as they involve The implementation of such goals, they will be called as factual judgments, value fact dichotomy. This is what actually he says. For instance, in the budgeting of a municipality and a mandal parishad or a gram panchayat, they have to decide what items of amount should be allocated. This depends upon the priorities. The decision whether to allocate more amount to the roads or parks or education or health are not interlinked to the value judgments. For instance, the length of the road, the connecting points, the type of road, etc., are the decisions related to the factual judgments. But whenever it receives to a common man and finally he is using it, this is going to come about a value judgments. So, in this point, he says the decisions are hierarchy of decisions. And whenever you put a behavior in purposive of this, guided by the general goals of objective of the organization, it is rational in so far as it selects alternatives which are conducive to the achievement of the previously selected goals. In this particular step, what is the rationality? How you are coming to a decision making? He says about a 6 different type of a rationalities. One is objectively rational, second subjectively rational, third consciously rational, fourth deliberatively rational, fifth organizationally rational, sixth personally rational. All these 6 types of rationalities are going to become a choice in front of us. A person is taking a decision, making a choice. This choice is controlled by these 6 types of rationalities. Objectively rational, it means there are a clear-cut framed rules, regulations are there, accordingly you are going for objectively rational. Subjectively rational, you are forced to change your decision making because of the pressure by the different type of things, then you are taking a different type of a decision. Consciously rational, whenever I am taking a decision, I know the net result, that is a value fact dichotomy, I know the what type of value is going to come. Conscious, I know it, something is going to happen. And the deliberately rational, I have forced, there is no other alternative because of the union pressure, because of some other thing, because of the boss is forcing to me, I am deliberately rational, though I am not much interested, but I have to do. Then organizationally rational, though some of the decisions are not objectively correct, but to provide organization to be an intact, to motivate the people doing other things, I am taking a decision which is going to be useful for the organization. Then finally, he talks about personally rational. In this type of a situation, this decision is going to be useful for me, personal benefit also. So, the rationality is not one, rationality is not fixed, rationality is going to be depend upon the choice. The hierarchy of a decisions, whatever we are going to take, it is going to be implied by the behavior. The behavior is going to be dominated by the circumstances and the situation. Although you say theoretically to look it is a neat arrangement, but in operational level it is fraught with a number of difficulties. The difficulties arise because no organization purposes a single goal. However, certain amount of integration will have got to be achieved in reality, without which no purpose can be achieved. But is there perfect choice in all the times are possible or not? A student taking an examination may set a goal of getting a first class. Alternatives are open to him to get a first class, to work hard, to resort to the malpractice and different type of things. Both courses may help him in getting a first class. If you study well, you will get. If participate in the malpractice also, you will get a first class. The student resorting to malpractice may not be able to face a test or an interview for a job. As a result, which facilitated him getting a first class could not help him in achieving a goal of getting a job. So, whenever you talk of the choice of a decision making is concerned, now what is the rationalities? But at the same time, you take a country and its economy and its resources. If we are providing about a 1 crore houses, 10 crore houses to all the people and everything, is very good decision and final decision. In practically it is possible? No, it is not possible. So, at this type of a system, rational man appears to be 100% right and your decision of a rational decision is 100% perfect. In practice, in reality, getting 100% is not possible. Hence, the Herbert Simon's point is, rational man is an ideal man. Rational organization is an ideal organization, which cannot exist. It is not possible. Then we will come to administrative man. An administrative man takes a decision based on the perfect situation, based on the choices available, based on the perfect choice of among the available choices. I am having 10 rupees with me, I will go on for an ordinary snack. But having a 100 rupees, having a perfect system in a hotel, very good. Having about a 1 crore rupees, 1 crore lakh rupees are with me, then you are asking me to construct very things, it is fine. But things will come, it is going to change. At this type of a situation, he says, administrative man is a perfect man. Rational man is an ideal man. What is an administrative man? He is not 100% perfect, but above 50%, below 99%. At that particular place, you are going to take your decision. Because unlike the decision making in the case of an individual or a family, here it tends to be much more systematic one. What is the decision making? Decision making based on 3 activities, that is intelligence activity, design activity, choice activity. Among the choice, you are going to pick up one choice which is decided by the circumstances. And what are the circumstances? Is the rationality, division of work. The pyramid of hierarchy of authority may be established with greater or less formality in decision making, specialized among the members of this hierarchy. Decision making in a division of work cannot be a formality, it is an informality, everybody has to work for that. Another is coordination, the principle of public administration. Group behavior required not only to adapt the correct decision, but also adoption by the all members of the group. If I am giving a decision, it is not just a decision of like that, everybody in the principle of coordination has to adopt this one. So, everybody has to know each and everything in the decision making. Another important point he says in human behavior is expertise. Administrative organization, there is a need for specialized skill at operational level. The work in the organization must be subdivided so that all the process requiring a particular skill can be performed by a person processing those skills. All decisions requiring a particular skill can be made by persons processing the skill. The responsibility. Administrative organization seeks to enforce the conformity of the individual to norms laid down to the group. The discretion of the subordinated personnel is limited by policies determined by the administrative hierarchy. The autonomy of decision making is restricted at various levels by higher decision making and enforcement of responsibilities. Because each and every administrative organization devises its own modes and methods of influence on decision making. 1. Authority. He followed the model of Chester Bernard and say that authority is a myth. You are thinking that you are having some authority, but authority, if it is accepted by the subordinates, then it is an authority. If they are not accepting your authority, then it is a myth. The second is organizational loyalties. In making a decisions, their organizational loyalties lead them to evaluate alternative course of actions in terms of consequences of their action of the group. An identification of an organization leads to certain notions of what is good and what is bad to an organization. Organization's good dominates the consciousness of the members in the organization. The behavioral choice is narrowed down by the organizational loyalties and facilitates homogeneity of behavior, rendering group work is possible. then organization is going to be successful. The another important aspect is efficiency. This is one of the third point he said. Every decision making, there are also factual judgments. They are all influenced by the criterion of efficiency. The concept of efficiency involves shortest path, cheapest means and the attainment of the desired goals. The efficiency criteria largely neutral as to what goals are to be attained. The order be efficient is a major organizational influence over the decisions of members of any administrative agency. The fourth important point Simon identified is information. The communication flow of an organization is also important, is shaping the decision making process. The information available to an individual is an important input in making a factual judgment. If you are not providing a perfect information and asking him to take a decision, that is not going to create a factual judgment. The organization which is capable of facilitating effective communication can not only condition the behavioral choice, but ensures uniformity of judgment and action. The fifth important aspect he said about training. Training is a device through which an individual is mentally prepared to act and react in a particular way in organization. An effective training would equip an individual in methods of using his discretion in conformity with the design and the goals of organization. So, training is one of the important aspects whenever it is going to help you to take a perfect decision. So, now based on this about the discussion on decision making aspects, we can say that the behavioral approach marks significant breakthrough in the growth and evolution of organizational theory. Its contribution to the study of organization study is beyond the principles and structures which are technical in nature. It is brought in the behavioral components based on value judgment. It provided a new angle to look at organization and offered a new frame of reference, that is decision making. It also brought into the philosophical dimension by adding the concept of different areas of zone of acceptance, rationality and the ends and means debate. The lengthy discussion on the determinants of organization, both the structural and behavioral and the modes of organizational influence lead to the rich understanding of administration. In fact, Simon's subsequent devotion of the study in economic organization is considered as a loss to the study of administrative organization. Critics do think that had pursued the same line of an inquiry, the study of administration would have gained enormously. There is no doubt that behavioral approach widened the conceptual framework and contributed to rich analysis to the lively debate on organization and general and organizational behavior in particular. So, dear friends, based on this explanation, we first discussed about the decision making. In the both sections, the importance of the behavioralism, the importance of the decision making, which has enriched the study of organizational theory. Simon not only criticizing the classical school and the functional systems and etc., he explained how the principles are going to be enriched with the decision making systems.